I'm one of those comics who didn't have like immediate fame or whatever. So I had to go out flyering. My first tour, 2018, was just giving out flyers at other venues, putting up posters as much as possible so at least 5-10 people show up. You can't think that okay, maybe what worked in an Ahmedabad show will work in a Bombay show, what worked in a Delhi show might work in a Bangalore show. I always feel that the jokes are in us. It's a subset of me, right? I'm doing the jokes. I just have to remember structure and everything else will fall in place. India's first ever queer comedy special, right? I wanted to be accessible to every queer kid out there because nothing like this was available to me when I was growing up queer. This is an entire narrative which will hit so many chords. I think we are all in our parents' eyes the perfect children, right? And when we break that notion even little bit, the idea that your child is perfect is broken down. So I want every parent and every queer kid to watch it together.
Hello and welcome to the DeadAnt ChatRoom. I'm your host Bhanush Kapil and we've got Navin Noronha joining us today. Welcome to the show, Navin.
Hi Banuj, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to do this.
How are you doing these days?
I'm really exhausted because touring takes a toll on you, but also excited because tomorrow I leave for Delhi and I can't really put in words how horrible is going to be the weather and everything. But the fact that I meet my Delhi friends again and just do Delhi things, that's what's exciting about it.
Yeah, so the tour you're on is the final tour of the Good Child show.
Yes.
How has it been going so far?
It's been going good only, like in terms of audiences. This is the first time where like people are seeking me out after a very long time. Like earlier I'm one of those comics who didn't have like immediate fame or whatever, so I had to go out flyering. My first tour, 2018, was just giving out flyers at other venues, putting up posters as much as possible so at least 5-10 people show up. But now people are organically reaching out and coming out to see me, so that's a good experience. Like Bombay was a sold out show last week for Good Friday, but before that weekend the humbling reality was Baroda was good show, but then Surat was like 2 people showed up. So like it's just like, do you understand the ebb and flow of it, the reality of being a touring comic and not also being famous in the Hindi speaking pocket, so to say, right? Like another Hindi speaking comic sold out, so I just felt like why me, why not me. But then you buck up and then you see that there are other cities, there are other opportunities, and you grab those as you go.
So tell us a bit about the show. Why is it called The Good Child?
So the Good Child, the name happened because it was first called Coming Out Soon. Was like a early version of the show, but the Good Child happened while I was performing, and I realized that all the points I'm pointing out are leading to the fact that my mom always raised me as a nice boy, while post comedy there was like an unraveling of sorts. Like so, I came out of multiple closets. So and I was so I'm a boy, Bhayandar boy who was mingling with Bandra people. Like a whole cultural exchange was different when I started comedy. Right from post 2014, I came out as an atheist first, and then I came out as gay, then I came out as a stoner, and and then I came out with my partner, like a relationship situation. So like there's multiple closets I came out of it. So like so the idea of the Good Child was busted for my family, and that's where the origin came. And second, it's a play on the slang good, which is a very common term for gay people in our country. So I wanted to bust that own that title rather. So by the time the show progresses, people get why I'm using this and why it's such a doesn't need to reclaim those words and those spaces, so to say. So yeah, that's why the Good Child.
And you're planning to record this in April. So
We
how are you
actually
preparing for that?
we actually just recorded it in Bombay because we just got lucky with a sold out show, and we want to record again in Bangalore. Hopefully, let's see how it plays out. But as of now, like we took a call on a Tuesday to record on a Friday, and such is like the group that I work with, people who are around me. They're so loving and they're so amazing that they all within like by Thursday everything was sorted, and Friday we just had to go and shoot. Even the venue J Spot, which is like a home base for a lot of comics now in Bombay, they were ready to adapt the entire venue to my special, and I'm excited to see how it looks because it's looking really good. Like we got our own neon sign, we got our own little color scheme going, and the people were there, so it was nice. Like my first ever solo taping experience, and I was like okay, and I did it in one show, by the way. I didn't have the luxury of doing 2 shows because there was a second show after that. But because we had sold out, we like, let's just try it with this show. So there was no reruns, there was no trials. I went in entirely and I was on stage for 110 minutes, I think 110 15 minutes. It was a whole roller coaster. It was amazing. Yeah.
And so I believe you've been touring the show in different ways, like in different versions for almost 5 years now. So now that
Yeah.
you're taping it, are you sort of like approaching it a little differently now that you know it's going to be recorded and there forever?
Not really, because when I did the touring, I realized that with every city, like I was adding more tags, and with every crowd has a different level of comfort, right? It's a very lightning in a bottle situation with specials. I realized that after doing this one, and having learned from Akash and Sumit Saurav, and I've spoken to other comics also in the circuit, Aditya Mittal, they all told me the same thing: is that like you can't think that okay, maybe what worked in an Ahmedabad show will work in a Bombay show, what worked in a Delhi show might work in a Bangalore show. So it's, I go in like as an empty canvas, and I enjoy the show as I progress, and I know that what I've written is funny. Like, it's like everything around it has to also work for people to enjoy the written content by the end of it, right? So like it's a cumulative little effort, I feel, by the end of it. And yeah, actually at the Bombay show, for example, the Ahmedabad show was like a perfect version of what the show should have been for me. So I watched that version of the show and went to the Bombay recording, and whatever impromptu rants were working over there was not working at the Bombay show. So I was like, oh shit, I have to like recalibrate and be real at this point. So that's why I think like it's fairly like you have to go like an empty canvas, as I said, without having to think too much about like how will this work, how will that work, and just have fun. It's just a matter of having fun, because I always feel that the jokes are in us. It's a subset of me, right? I'm doing the jokes. I just have to remember structure, and everything else will fall in place. So that's what happened actually.
And can you give us any hints on what you got planned in terms of release? When can we see the
So
special or where?
well, it's going to be Pride Month for sure because it's India's first ever queer comedy special, right? And I want like, and it's going to be for free for people to watch on YouTube. I want it to be accessible to every queer kid out there, because nothing like this was available to me when I was growing up queer, and I want every like a lot of people already comment on my YouTube videos where I've spoken about my life, right? So, and I think this is an entire narrative which will hit so many chords, irrespective of gender identity, irrespective of orientation, irrespective of where you come from in this country. I think we are all, in our parents' eyes, the perfect children, right? And when we break that notion even little bit, the idea that your child is perfect is broken down. So I want every parent and every queer kid, every straight kid, every kid and parent to watch it together. Rather, there's some like content that's going to be a little like under the belt or over the top, but I think once you get over that initial apprehension of watching comedy like that, you really get into the nature of it all. So that, and of course I'm going to make it like pay as you go. People who want to subscribe and pay through like different channels. I've also realized that there's a lot of people who like my work, but they're not in India, because they're all LGBTQ people who fucked off when the fucking off was good. So they're now all abroad, and they're like, yeah, we'll champion you from here, Naveen. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do my shows here to straight people. So it's a good feeling. Like in Zoom, actually, like when I was doing the Zoom shows in the pandemic, a lot of them tuned in from like different parts. Like they, at 10 a.m. they'll be sitting and watching my 11 p.m. show on a Saturday. So it felt nice. So I know that there's a little bit of like a support system still there for me.
And so, like I said, it's been 5 years since you started performing this, and this is sort of a goodbye to this show. Is that
Yeah.
bittersweet, or are you just like waiting to get on to your next solo?
It is bittersweet. It's like a major chunk of my life like captured in this show, right? Like several things have happened in my life with regards to, from my coming out journey to like my partner being introduced to my family, and then post that how it played out. All of it is like a chapter in my life, and now like life is different for me. Like like I've moved in with my partner. Like the oasis that I was imagining as a young gay boy I would achieve one day, and I've achieved it. I have 4 cats for some reason, and I have like one partner, and life's pretty much in the right pocket right now. So I don't want to overcook the show, and then all that like I've captured in that moment. I don't want to then sell it after that version of me is not there anymore. So this is like a new person, and I want to pursue the next comedy special or the next version of my set as this person, right? So whatever the 2018 to 2022 struggle Navin Noronha had experienced is now out, and once I think it's going to be good to like have that out and gone, a fresh start, a full like clean slate, so to say. I'm not like Akash Mehta, fucking he just like does 5 specials at one go. I can't do that. It's a very heavy story. If you see the special, eventually
Yeah.
you'll understand why putting even humor through that lens is so difficult for someone from the queer community, right? But I'm still like I still power through it. Like it's like people go on this journey with me. So there are moments where there is like not always laughter. There's sometimes there are like some level of oohs and ahs, but I thrive on those. I really want those because it helps put the narrative together, right? It's not all hunky dory when you're in a country like India and you're openly gay and you're an atheist and you're on the left of the center talking about rights for everybody at the same time. So it's like you kind of have that little bit of an onus to, like, be honest to yourself. So that's why.
And yeah, and you brought up Akash Mehta, so I wanted to ask. I've been really enjoying the Varta Lab podcast, the few episodes I've seen. And it seems you guys have big plans for that as well. You've launched a membership thing, and you possibly live shows. Do you want to talk about that? It's been 5 years as well for that.
Yeah, Vartalab is we had actually, like, after 3 seasons we had like given up on the show because both of us wanted to pursue our own little thing, right? Like Akash got married literally, and I moved in with my partner, so we were setting up our own little pockets, so to say. But it was just fans, man. Like every few months or every few days, they'd be like, "When is Vartalab coming back?" Akash and I could not chill, take a photo together that we're chilling together without like somebody saying, "Ki, bro, when is Vartalab coming back?" In the lockdown, we did a version of it on Zoom called Shits, which was super happy, interesting, true stories. But that live studio experience, that when we really lock eyes and we're like, "Ki, mere paas story," and you go, that feeling we wanted to bring back. And so then we brought it back for season 4, and the turnout has been great because like fans were like enthusiastic for it. Like we don't have a major fan following, but we have a very dedicated fan following, right? So they tune in every Saturday. They tell each other, "Ki chalo sunte," and there are now members also because they've bought the membership also. So I think it's a no-brainer, right? Like we want to like own our versions of bumping mics, so to say. Like Akash and I have created a rhythm with each other where like off mic also we tell each other all our, like, life's deepest darkest secrets. So when we are on camera or on the mic, there's no malice, there's no like I'm not going to tell this, you're going to take the lead or whatever. There's no like, Akash has even admitted it on the show that he's there to enhance every joke because he's just like happy taking the backseat when I'm just ranting or like I'm taking the shit, so to say. So it's fun. It's like a little experiment of us that kind of worked out, and thanks to a very loyal fan base, we have something to show for. And some of the conversations are very profound also. Like sometimes we just like we know we are like making fun of like everything in life, from airport travel to like living with somebody, from parents to everything. But when it boils down to it, like we have conversations about self-help, about depression, about like coming out, about like trans rights. So I think it's not just all for nothing.
And so internationally, I know lots of comics have podcasts that are actually quite a significant revenue source. Do you think that's something that Vartalab is on the way to being for you guys?
On the way, for sure. Like we just have to set that value up, saying hey, we have something to show for. And I think, yeah, slowly people are like tuning in and everything. And also a subset of guests, right? It's sometimes we find it like, okay, like there'll be like a Shruti Seth who's very famous from a nostalgia point of view also, and they're like, yes, we want to listen to us. And sometimes it's just like the two of us talking and shooting the breeze, and people still want to listen to the same level of like gusto. So I think it's a good little pocket to be in. It's not like we don't want to sell it purely on the basis of guests either. We want to show that we have stories on our own merit also, and that's what we eventually, when we tour, we'll be touring by our own. We won't have guests coming along, right? So that's going to be the situation.
So with a special store and a new podcast season already happening, what do you plan to do for the rest of 2023? Or do you want to just take the second half of the year off?
No, I can't. I literally cannot. I worked on a Vice show recently. That's going to come out in August or around that time. We're hoping that it all works out. It's going to be a 6 episode docu series on queer stories, and I'm very excited about that. I'm still under NDA, so this is all I can reveal right now. It's going to be like a culmination of all of my life's work, like Keeping It Queer, which was my podcast, to my comedy, to my research in the queer community. So like everything is kind of like it all came full circle, and I was a consultant writer on the show. So excited for that, and once that is done, I'm gonna work on my own series. My partner and I want to write our own films. We want to do our own little thing. So one thing will probably lead to the other. People will know about our work and they'll hire us for other stuff. So all of that, there's never an easy resting time for a writer comedian in this country, I feel, because there's this, as a freelancer you can't do that also in Bombay, right? Like कि paycheck का भी सोचना पड़ता है, right? So all of that.
So, final question, but since you also produced queer comedy shows and the podcast, I wanted to go before you leave. Are there any particular queer comedians or artists that you want to shout out to the audience?
All of them. Oh my god, like that discovery has been like the biggest joy of my life. Like we started the curated comedy show on the Zoom mics only, as I said, because again people were scattered around the country and we're like, let's just do this. The response was amazing. We did like one double bill show one night, I remember, which was a free access show because we wanted it to free, and we were worried about people coming and heckling or whatever. Nobody came. Like they were like almost 80 people all in support, and it was great. Like Nick Pillow from UK joined in, Ritushri from back then she was living in Ahmedabad, now she's in Bombay. So to shout out Madhvendra Singh, Ayushi Jagad, Ankur Tangde, Joshua Trott, Subranjan Subramanian, Ritushri Panigrahi, Goti Ainer, Pokraj Roy, all of these comics from around the country are doing queer comedy. Sejal Mehra from Delhi, Swati Sachdeva, everybody knows. Some of them not out yet, but some of them are still like doing material at our stage, but not like fully out there. I won't take names because I want them to come out on their own sweet times. But there's some great queer content that is coming out soon, and I'm just happy to be a part of this zeitgeist. To be honest, Banuj, like it's just like I've waited for years, like 10, almost like this is my ninth year in comedy, and all this next one I'm tearing up thinking about this. Like it's almost a decade now, and to have now to see like okay, we have 15 queer comics, and when people say okay, we want to do a corporate show, like I'm like hire them, please hire all of them, and let them tell their stories because we've not had that for the longest time, right? And I'm tired of being the only one yelling about it for the longest time as well. So let's have the narrative change. Let's have more voices. And now like this there's all comics from all walks of life. Like when I see Ankur Tangde, who's now a queer Dalit woman talking about like three different intersections. It gives me so much joy. Mayur Kamble is doing like a 4 CD, as you all only pointed out, like he's a DBA comic doing his own thing, and I think everybody needs to like now pay attention because the whole pocket of comedy when I entered was all South Bombay boys talking about their girlfriends not giving them head, right? And I just and then slowly we're now changing all of these little stories. So I think that's required, and I'm so happy for like the revolution coming now in comedy altogether.
That's amazing, and you've given me a list of like I only knew half those names, so now I'm gonna go do some googling. But
Yep.
thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and best of luck with the tour and the special.
Thank you so much, Banuj. It was such a joy. And yeah, if people are watching this, please come out, watch my show. And we also do queer comedy. Please watch queer comics. Support queer art. That's what matters.